So now that we saw the documentation, you probably installed the Vulncheck CLI at this point on Mac or Windows. I want to show you how the CLI works and some of the use cases. So now that it's installed, you can type in Vulncheck. If you need to authenticate, you can type in Vulncheck Auth, and that's going to authenticate you with your entitlements. And normally, the first thing people want to do when they're in the CLI is they might want to look at the different indices that they have available with their entitlements and explore the data a bit. So I'm going to type in Vulncheck indices browse, and this is going to give me a full list of all the different advisories that I have access to, and I can click through to access any of them. Here's a good example of Becton Dickinson advisories. I click on here, and we're going to see the source advisory information. I can search through that. Another thing with the browse command that's quite interesting, we can hit Q to exit out of this, and we can look at browse. I can also type in a term and I can search for that. So this is going to down select our hundreds of indices. So for example, we have Chinese NVD, we have NIST NVD, and then we have our commercial feed Vulncheck NVD2. And when I click on these, I can open up and look at the records within that specific index that we have API endpoint as well. Now, if I back out again, some of the other things beyond browsing and searching. So another thing that often people want to do is look up a specific CVE. So I can choose the index. And I can list or I can browse. It's really up to you as far as format. Exploits. In our exploits index, we're going to look up CVE 2024-3400. When I do this, this is going to return the information on the CVE in our exploits feed. We can scroll up and down, page up and down to look at the different information associated with that. I can back out, quit. And then naturally, another thing with our service people are interested in doing is downloading a full copy of our data, different indexes. So in this case, I'm going to type in backup instead of index, and we're going to download Vulncheck Kev, which is our known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. And now there's going to be a copy of this locally, right? So we can see I've downloaded a few times now, but I can extract that and I can look up the information locally without accessing or connecting to the Vulncheck service, which is incredibly useful. We'll talk about some more advanced use cases regarding Vulncheck CLI offline as well. Another good use case would be that someone maybe wants to look up all the vulnerabilities associated with a CPE. So if I type in here, it's going to provide all the vulnerabilities associated with that software. This specifically is 40OS. And then we can also look up package URLs. So I can query a specific package URL, and that's going to give me any vulnerabilities associated with that as well. Now, there's a lot of other things you can do. If you're looking for different commands or different information, anytime you're typing in a command, you can just type in --help. And this is then going to provide the strings available that you can use and leverage in the format. In available commands, and often some examples as well. So really intuitive, useful. The last thing I want to show regarding accessing Vulncheck intelligence is we can also look at some different queries for different indexes. For instance, if you want to look up a threat actor, you could query threat actors index, and this would be a good example of looking up Cozy Bear. And I could either use the browser or list. In this case, I'll use the list, and that's going to provide all the information regarding the record associated with Cozy Bear that we have in our threat actors feed. And then for our IP intelligence, you can easily query our IP intelligence indexes. So this is a good example of querying hostname. This in particular is router.asus.com. So I can query that, and it's going to provide vulnerable hosts, C2 infrastructure, things of that nature. I also can query several things at the same time. So in this case, IP intelligence, I'm going to look up Sweden, ASN, and ID of initial access, and this is going to return potential vulnerabilities that are accessible via the information that I provided. So that provides really high-level overview as far as different ways to access intelligence. And next, we're just going to hop into the scan capability. And then we'll talk about the offline access.